There's been a lot of controversy the last couple days over PUBG and what Brandon Green, who is known as Player Known, the individual behind PUBG, his statements about the performance of the game coming to the Xbox One, more specifically the Xbox One X. In this BRAP rant, I'm going to talk about the Xbox One X potentially being held back by the Xbox One S, forced parity, and what this means for potential future titles for the Xbox One X moving forward. Welcome to another BRAP rant. I wanted to do this rant actually yesterday, and I just didn't get the chance to do it. But real quick, I want to thank everyone for the more recent support with the channel. We have grown to 706 subscribers, I believe it is. And I just want to thank everyone who has subbed, who has tuned in every week to listen to Basement Radio Arcade Live, which goes live Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to thank all those who listen to the rants, everyone who's participated in our holiday giveaway. As many of you know, we are giving away a PlayStation 4 console. Compliments of Chicken Spaghetti, who is a great member of the gaming community. So, as always, big shout out to Chicken Spaghetti. Thank you for choosing BRAP to be part of the holiday giveaway, and more importantly, giving away a PlayStation 4 console to one lucky winner. One thing I do want to make note of is, please, if you are entering the PlayStation 4 holiday giveaway, please read the contest rules. The giveaway is only eligible for those who reside in the United States. A you have to be living in the U.S. to be eligible to participate in the giveaway. So, anyhow, on to PUBG. So, some news broke recently that PUBG, which is coming to the Xbox platform next week in early access for $29.99 US dollars. That originally what was said to us um, by by Brendan Green was that the game will run 60 frames per second on the Xbox One X. But on the standard Xbox One, the OG Xbox One or the Xbox One S, that the frame rate would be halved, meaning that if the X is running at 60, we would see potentially the Xbox One S run at 30 frames per second. But he did mention that he has seen it running on the X at 30 to 40 frames. Now, as many of us who are Xbox One X owners, we were ecstatic, excited to hear that this game would run at 60 frames a second. There are those out there who felt like, no, there needs to be parity. You can't split up the community. Um, I Here are my thoughts real quick. So, so actually, let me get to the update with PUBG 2 before I give you my thoughts. Before I get into my rant. So then, Brendan Green retweets that PUBG will actually run 30 frames per second on all Xbox devices, including the Xbox One X. So this led to a lot of back and forth, a lot of discussion on Twitter. Some people being very upset that the game is, in the opinions of some gamers, being held back by the Xbox One S version of PUBG, and that when you buy a premium product like the Xbox One X is marketed, and you've been told that it's gonna play the best versions of your games, um, you may have that expectation. You may come to expect it. So this brings up an interesting point. Now I know that Microsoft has said early on that they weren't going to split the community or the base. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't fracture the base. They also did say that at a later point, they said that they would allow the developers to make the choice and choose how they saw fit to use the extra power in the Xbox One X. So there was Microsoft didn't guarantee that or didn't specifically say, okay, well, you buy the Xbox One X, you could expect all your games to have higher frames or to have all games to be native 4K. They just said they will be the best versions. They will perform better. You'll have a true 4K experience. That's more or less kind of what we heard. Now, I bought an Xbox One X, and I said this on Loot Chest Radio, which if you haven't checked out Loot Chest Radio, definitely check us out. I'm a co-host on that particular podcast. We actually record on the weekends, and then I believe the podcast releases on iTunes, YouTube, and other podcast applications. I think that following Monday. So if you go to @LootChestRadio on Twitter, you'll find us. You'll find a link to get to us on YouTube and iTunes as well. So definitely check us out. Had a great show. It's me, Jay Fonzarelli, All Day Digital, and Saltiest Gaming. So I bought this product. I bought a $500 product because I wanted a premium console experience, if you will. And look, the Xbox One X is, by all stretch of the imagination, what Microsoft said it was going to be. Microsoft, and I have to give them credit, Microsoft has done a really good job in the design and implementation of this console. There's quite a few games that are becoming enhanced now, so we're starting to get see more support for the Xbox One X. I am actually playing. I'm actually playing um, a few games on it. Not Gears of War 4. I'm sorry. Wolfenstein, the New Order, Wolfenstein 2, the New Order. I'm playing Assassin's Creed Origins, which looks really great. Um, but it just so Destiny 2 actually comes out. I think Destiny 2 gets the Xbox patch today. I think it is, as a matter of fact, with the release of the new DLC, Curse of Osiris. So Microsoft's done a really good job. I mean, I think that playing Dishonored 2, Dishonored 2 actually looks really good. They did a really good job with the patch there. I actually played the PS4 version and I could you immediately tell the difference. I mean, it's almost night and day. So great job. I mean, I think there's no questioning the fact that they've done a really good job here in creating this device. It is a premium console device, $500. And I went out and bought one because I wanted to have a premium console experience. I primarily played most multiplats on the PlayStation 4 prior to the Xbox One X because they more often than not performed better on the PlayStation 4. Now I'll probably more than likely be playing them on the Xbox One X. But with that expectation of power and what we have under the roof of the Xbox One X and the price of $500, look, I don't selfishly, it's not of a concern to me that the Xbox One S version runs at 30 frames, and if the Xbox One X version ran at 60, I would be okay with that. Now, I'm saying that because I own an Xbox One X, and maybe some of you feel the same way as I do, own an Xbox One X. Maybe others don't. And actually, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Um, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below on what, if it indeed was 30 frames per second, or I'm sorry, 60 frames per second on the Xbox One X, 30 on the S. If that would matter to you, do you care? Do you think that's bullshit? Do you think that it's BS that the X is potentially being held back by a weaker console? Love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. So please leave those comments below. So me personally, again, I have a powerful machine console. I want my games to run the best. And I know this is a unique situation in the sense that this is a online first person shooter. It's not a Twitch based shooter. So, you can make the argument, well, do you really need 60 frames per second? It's really not a Twitch based shooter. It's not a Call of Duty type shooter or anything like that. Yeah, you can make that argument, but 60 frames per second still is um, it still is a better overall, just better, performs better than a game running at 30. And for those of us who bought a Xbox One X, that's the reason why we bought this console. We want the best versions of games. We want our games to perform the best. And frankly, again, selfishly speaking, I could care less if the S version runs 30 frames. It's not my problem. That's the issue of the developer to figure out. I want the best version possible. Now, I've heard people say, well, you're going to create an unlevel playing field. And I get that. I understand that. 60 versus 30. But at the same time, let's be realistic about one thing. You don't necessarily always have a level playing field anyway. There's other things that are going to impact online shooters, things like bandwidth, input lag, people using mouse and keyboards. Those are things that are going to have an impact. So this idea that, and I had a conversation with someone on Twitter about this, and I'm not going to name the individual's name, but he said something to the effect that, well, I game on console because it's a level playing field. I'm like, no, it's not a level playing field. It never really has been a level playing field. And they were comparing it to PC. And I guess this individual's thought process was, well, I don't want gaming consoles to be like PCs. This is going to destroy the pillars of what makes a console a game console and not a PC. And that's not exactly true. The reality of the matter is the difference in what makes a game console versus a PC is that a game console is a closed platform. That's what makes a game console a game console. If you're the mindset that you don't want game consoles to, and this individual said this, I don't want game consoles to be like PC. If you're in that mindset, you are sorely mistaken, because if you didn't want game consoles, or if you don't want them to be evolving into PC type devices, um, this transition is happening. Their consoles are reflecting or mirroring more PCs than they are game consoles that I grew up playing, and that's been the case. And I even said this individual, if it wasn't for consoles moving towards or adapting PC-like features, we would not have an Xbox today. That's a fact. We would not have an Xbox today. And I bring this up because I feel like the concern that I have is that there's a lot of misinformation or misinformed gamers who are out there saying, well, if we have one group that can run 60 and the other can run 30, or if we start adding the ability to choose between resolution and frames per second, it's going to destroy the pillars of console gaming, and we are now going to be like PC gamers. No, we're not, because again, console gaming is a closed platform device. That's the biggest differentiator from console to PC. That's what makes a gaming console a gaming console. And again, I want to bring this up because I feel like there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of uninformed gamers just driving that narrative when it's not true. And and I understand like wanting certain features or aspects of um to stay true. in a console. But look, these things are evolving. You know, there's technology is ever changing, and it doesn't preclude game consoles. It just doesn't. And so things are evolving. I mean, the Xbox One X is part of that movement. Now, I will say this. My biggest complaint with the mid-gen upgrades is that they're going to be held back by um, the base platforms, the vanilla PS4, the vanilla Xbox One OG, or Xbox One S. And we're seeing that. And that's unfortunate. And look, I knew going into that potentially might be the case. And I hope that we, as gamers, I hope developers give us the option to play games as we see fit. I love the way Microsoft patched or did the enhancement for the Xbox One X for like Gears of War 4. I love how they did it for how Crystal Dynamics did it for Tomb Raider. They give you the option to do like a 4K mode, or a performance mode, and one mode that focuses more on frame rate, another one that focuses a higher frame rate, lower resolution, another one that focuses more on higher resolution, lower frame rate. I like that. I like that option. It allows me to tailor my gaming experience how I see fit. And there's nothing wrong with it. I think as gamers, we should all want choices. We should all want the ability to have the option to play how we see fit. And real quick, I just want to give a big shout out to everyone in the live chat. We have Chris Cobra Elite, Frank Caesar, Mark Woodland. What's up, gentlemen? Anyone else who I may have missed? Shirzad, what's going on? The Reverend Slim. Colt Eastwood is in the house. Colt, what's going on, man? Fall of Duty. And if I missed anyone else, I apologize. I'm just, getting to the live chat right now. So, by the way, Colt Eastwood actually just did a video yesterday that you may want to check out on parity and on PUBG and games being held back potentially. And yeah, Shirzad, I got the sniffles, man. I'm a little under the weather right now for sure. So, OBJ, what's going on, man? So yeah, so it's a scenario where, look, I mean, these games are being like PUBG. PUBG is being held back by for the Xbox One X version is being held back. Some of the live chat said, "Why doesn't Microsoft make two separate communities?" And I think the potential, again, that's splitting the base, and I'm not sure if they want to do that. And I necessarily don't know how many. Um, you run into a scenario where maybe, obviously, the larger install base is going to be on the with the Xbox One X or S, and now you run into a situation where maybe the Xbox One X, if you split the base, there's not enough players on PUBG on that version of the console. I mean, that's just that could be a potential outcome risk that you take if you end up splitting or having two different chat lobbies. But I would even say maybe to kind of counteract that, just give the Xbox One X owners the ability to play either at 60 or 30, and then let them decide, which or how they want to play the game in different lobbies. Have the ability for them to go to an X lobby or an S lobby. Again, this is just throwing out ideas, but I'm just afraid that moving forward that we're not going to get a lot of that oomph, if you will, out of the Xbox One X console because of the Xbox One S. And you got to remember something, like the X is a significant leap. This console by itself, I mean, let's be real. This console by itself could be a next gen console on its own. It is a significant step up from the Xbox One S. The Reverend Slim says the biggest problem is that they said anything about 60 frames a second while the game is still being developed. They could or they should have known the internet lynch mob would freak. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they have some idea, but don't know why he's Brandon Green spoke so soon. If he's saying that the X is running at 60, they probably have it running at 60 would be my guess. And who knows if Microsoft stepped in and said, "Hey, you know what? You need to retract that statement um, because we're not looking to split players." Cobra Chris says Microsoft won't split players. Maybe when they stop producing the One S and just X, they can see there being no problems. Yeah, I mean, who knows when they'll stop producing the S, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. And I just think it's selfishly speaking, because again, I'm an Xbox One X owner. I'm not exactly thrilled over parity. I want Microsoft, I want developers to tap into the beast, if you will. For a year, Microsoft beat in our heads. The beast is coming. Are you ready for the beast? Here comes the beast. Now the beast is here. And now the beast is being potentially held back by the mouse. The mouse being the Xbox One X. So we'll see. This thing is going to get interesting. Oddly enough, though, that it's I see a lot of people saying that this is their most anticipated game for Xbox, PUBG, and oddly enough, it's the one that has highlighted a potential issue in terms of parity for the consoles. Reverend Slim said, "Keep in mind that the goal of the X was to play, excuse me, was to play the same games as the base hardware at 4K without losing frame rate, not to increase from 30 to 60." They outright said this. They did say this, Reverend. But as is customary with Microsoft, their messaging isn't always on point, and it often changes. They also said they would leave it up to the discretion of developers how they choose to use the power of the Xbox One X. So they weren't saying Microsoft had never said that they were going to mandate developers using 4K or having games run at native 4K. Um, they just said that they would leave it up to the developer. So I mean, and that's kind of the messaging issue that Microsoft I think has had this console gen. Chris Cobra Elite in the live chat also says you could say the same about vanilla PS4 Pro or vanilla PS4 and PS4 Pro. I mean, this is true. I mean, it's what I just said a couple minutes ago that the issue that I've had with these mid-tier refreshes is that they create this issue of parity or this issue of being held back by the least powerful consoles on the market. I do think again that this is probably the tip of the iceberg. I think we'll probably end up hearing more about this as other games release. I don't think this is going to be a situation where um, I don't think it's going to be a situation where this is the PUBG is going to be the only game where this comes up. I've been seeing quite a bit of people on Twitter saying PUBG should be 60 on the X. I got this console for better overall performance. I mean, that seems to be the consensus amongst Xbox One X owners. now and now it's interesting because now you have the console wars have almost the console wars have infected, if you will, the Xbox community. We have the folks on the side of the Xbox One S arguing against the folks on the side of the Xbox One X. I don't think that's true. Somebody brought that up on Twitter. I read that. I thought that was kind of funny. Chris Crow Elite says people aren't understanding these mid-gen refreshes are just upgrades. That's it. Most see the X as a new gen console, and it's not. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't. Most of the people, Chris, most of the people that I know don't look at it as a new gen. I think I can only speak for myself. I don't know the other individuals who are out there saying that this is a new gen console. They should not be. They should not think that because it's not. I mean, it's a mid gen refresh, but it is to me it's a full upgrade. I mean, this isn't a half step. This isn't what Sony did with the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 Pro was a half step. This is a full on upgrade. And I think that, you know, and I said this earlier, you could look at the Xbox One X as its own console. It could be considered, looking at its guts, a next gen console. It's a significant upgrade by all stretch of the imagination. The way the hardware is, the performance we're seeing. You look at Digital Foundry, and we're finding that majority of the time games are performing in terms of consoles. Games are performing on the best on the Xbox One X. Sure, Shirzad actually brings up an interesting point. If someone told me that my 1080 card will be limited by 980 users, I would shoot myself. And this is the interesting point, as somebody brought up on Twitter about PC gaming. Why not give the X owners the option of turning certain settings down, um, or S owners, turning certain settings down, so that they can run these games. Yeah, Mark, the CPU is still weak, I think, to run CPU intensive games. PUBG is not that game. PUBG is more GPU intensive, because it's not. They're not. There's no AI. They're not. Everything is being rendered as just the map because there's no AI or anything like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think in terms of CPU, it is a weaker CPU. Um, I mean, it's an upgrade over the S. But it's not. It's not a tremendous upgrade, I would say, and I think that was obviously done for cost reasons to keep the cost down on the console. Reverend Slim says to Shazad, it isn't the GPU side of the APU. That's the problem. It's that they're using Jaguar cores with less than one IPC versus desktop CPUs that are four IPC. Um, no, and I understand that, but I think with PUBG, and I'm just using PUBG as example here. I mean, I think that they could probably. I mean, he's already saying that he's seen it up as high as 40 frames per second. Look, dial the resolution back on the S. You know, throw in some of those soup textures. I mean, it's not a CPU intensive game. So we'll see. What this is going to be interesting. I'm really interested to see how this is all going to play out. Um, I don't think that I don't think that we this is the last of this. I think we're going to see this come up in other games, and more specifically, probably other online games, maybe other shooters. We'll probably see something like this come up again. It's just interesting though. I think I could see both sides. Obviously, I could see the side where if you're on the Xbox One S, you don't want to give up that competitive advantage per se, by having a game locked in at 30 frames per second, and then you're playing against individuals who are running a game at 60 frames a second. I get that. Um, yeah, and I get that. I get that. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what's going to happen. Who knows? I mean, my guess is that, if you had to ask me, um, what I think is going to ultimately happen, I think we're going to get parity. I think it's going to be better resolution on the Xbox One X, and 30 frames per second locked. And that's it. So, and I think that this is not going to be the first time that this conversation comes up. It's unfortunately the downside to these mid-gen upgrades, and not just the Xbox One X, but the Pro as well, the PS4 Pro. So, well, look, everyone, I just want to give everyone a quick shout out in the live chat for stopping by and saying hello. And as always, always appreciate the comments in the live chat. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe as well. We have 12 likes. We have 22 people watching right now. That means we're missing 10 likes. So hit that like button and subscribe too if you haven't done so already. And definitely, please check out Loot Chest Radio. I'm a co-host on this podcast that was created by a good friend of mine, Jay Fonzarelli. It's myself, Jay, All Day Digital, and Saltiest Gaming. We actually don't go live. We actually record. It's a pre-recorded show. And actually, it's really cool because because we pre-recorded, we've added some really nice production values into the podcast. But if you go to @Loot Chest Radio on Twitter, you'll find us. There's a link for us there. Definitely check out our first episode. We actually are going to. We probably actually will have a live streaming, a live podcast on Loot Chest Radio this weekend for the PlayStation Experience. And by the way, if you haven't listened to the first Loot Chest Radio episode, I did drop the March 2018 release date for God of War, which has just been leaked. So definitely check that episode out. And then we'll probably, like I said, end up live streaming this weekend for the PlayStation Experience, which should be good. Should be exciting to see what Sony has, what they're offering up. And don't forget, BRAP goes live again tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have special guest, Saltiest Gaming, on. And we'll be talking about our thoughts on the PlayStation Experience. We may talk a little more PUBG. Maybe talking some God of War. Give you our thoughts on Kratos and his evolution as a character. And whether or not we like the direction that game or that franchise is taken. So other than that, everyone, again, big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Thank you for stopping by this morning. Hit that like button and subscribe as well. We will see you next time. Actually, tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace, everyone.